Hey everyone, welcome to the No Fudd Zone podcast. As usual, I'm joined by three of my regular viewers here where we can get together and discuss some topics. And remember, this is a no Fudd zone, so keep your fuddery to yourself. But like I said, this way you can hear more than just my opinion on things. So hopefully we'll get some topics coming in. However, first, I want to start by letting everybody introduce themselves. First, John Mandrick, introduce yourself.
Hello, John Mandrick, longtime listener and talker.
And then Welper.
I am Welper, and apparently I'm the, what'd you say, secretary now?
Kind of like our, well, you like to prefer, I think they prefer to call themselves executive assistant or something.
Ooh, fancy.
Mm-hmm. As long as you wear tight clothes and don't mind a little sexual harassment, it doesn't matter. And then we got someone else here. We got Edward Howerton.
Howdy, I'm Pockets, and sorry I'm looking a little scraggly. I just got out of the gym, so yeah, my bad.
I like how you try to make us think you actually went to the gym. By gym, he means hanging out behind the Walmart whistling at girls or something. I know what.
Still exercise.
Yeah. But first off today, I want to go over, I have done some videos in the last couple of days about, seemed to me that Silencer Shop was the one that did all the bad stuff for trying to get the Hearing Protection Act yanked. And Welper sent me some information today where he watched a video. So I wanted him to kind of fill me in on what that email he sent was, because his emails are very wordy and I don't want to read all of it. So I figured he could just tell me in person.
Yeah, the channel Fuddbusters, who is a firearms lawyer. I don't know how many people know of him. He does a This Week in Guns chat. It's not every week, but every once in a while. And he went over the controversy in the bill for the Hearing Protection Act a little bit. I guess they filmed the video a little bit before the most recent stuff. But in that video, what I picked out specifically was that apparently there is a document that these companies have to submit that tells what they're lobbying for.
Mm-hmm.
So the confusion in your comment section the other day on that video about Silencer Central, they actually have what Silencer Central was doing. And they weren't the problem. The explanation that he gave was that Silencer Central, for a long time before all of this, was lobbying to reduce the time frame for the wait periods on NFA items, specifically silencers. And they had it in as a conservation bill for the NFA, which was because they were trying to get the government to donate the money to wildlife conservation.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with trying to keep the NFA around.
Yeah, and
I'm wondering. Sorry, go
keep going.
Oh, I'm wondering if there's a form like this for Silencer Shop. I would assume there has to be, but I don't know where to find that.
There may and may not be, because Silencer Shop went through a very shady way of donating that much money in that short of a period of time. They donated in every employee's name, every family member of every employee's name, all these private accounts, these private PACs that don't have to release information. They went about it. Not only did they spend a year's worth of, well, multiple years for most companies, but a year's worth, even for a big company, worth of lobbying in 3-month period. They also did it in the shadiest way possible to try to cover what they were doing, which makes them look very guilty. And then they immediately went on damage control afterwards. And here's another, and which made them look even guiltier. And now they've been doing damage control by having, I'm sure some of them are their talking heads that they have sponsorships with online. Some of them I think are their employees, because I wish I'd have gotten a screenshot of this yesterday. It was on my phone, and by the time I got out here, it had been deleted. I was looking at my comment section, And one of the people that came on and ripped me a new asshole saying it was Silencer Central and you don't get your facts straight. And it's not surprising that someone who says this and this and this and doesn't like this channel or that channel doesn't know what's going on. And it was the Silencer Shop logo as their icon. It wasn't the Silencer Shop name, but it was the Silencer Shop logo as their icon. And by the time I could get out here, take a screenshot of it, it was deleted. And then it came back later, pretty much worded almost exactly the same way, but with a different icon.
Based on how inept they are at running their website, that doesn't surprise me one bit.
You know, I don't know anything about their website, but I thought that was funny. It made it very clear that they're having their employees and their talking heads go around and try to muddy the waters and make it look like it was someone else. But everything I've seen, Silencer Shop spent no money on lobbying up until the 3 months that the bill was being considered. After Trump won the election and it looked like this bill was going to go on the floor, they spent a year's worth of lobbying in 3 months, did it in the shadiest way possible, immediately went on damage control after people found out about it, started paying pro-gun groups to, sing their praises in their email lists and everything. Never came out and actually showed that it wasn't them. Instead, like I said, went on damage control. They've got their talking heads, their employees, everybody else acting as internet trolls, trying to smack down anybody that says anything, trying to make it look like it was another company. But when you look at Silencer Central didn't really increase their lobbying in 2024. It was basically the same as it was in 2023. And no one was lobbying against this in 2023 because Trump hadn't won the election yet. Until Trump won the election, this was not even a possibility. It wasn't until Trump won the election, and after he did, Silencer Central didn't really change their lobbying at all, so it looks like they were spending their lobbying on something else. Silencer Shop started lobbying, did it in the shadiest way possible, and spent a ton of money. And like I said, if I'm wrong, Silencer Shop can easily come after me, and Discovery would be a bitch. Because we'd have to say, I would be looking at things like, okay, all these members of families of your employees and everything, were there any strings attached to this money you gave them to donate? Can we find the trail for the money you donated? And what lobbying were you talking to? When your lobbyist had contact with these politicians, where's the stuff that tells us what they were talking about? And what did they talk about? But they're not going to do that because they don't want to go through Discovery, but they're going to try everything they can on the internet to make it look like it was somebody else. And so far, I've seen no evidence that it was anybody else, tons of evidence that it's Silencer Shop. And every time one of the talking heads tries to present evidence to the contrary, or someone in the comment section tries to present evidence to the contrary, it either turns out to not be a true piece of evidence, or it actually says the opposite of what they're trying to say. Like that, oh, look how much money Silencer Central spent. Yeah, that they spent money, but it actually shows the opposite of what you're trying to show because they spent that much that full year and the year before. So it just doesn't add up.
And they're not even good with the spin on it. I mean, I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but I'm sitting here going, all right, no. We weren't trying to, kill the bill. We wanted the $0 because if it comes, if it's not part of the NFA, then Washington's going to ban silencers because it's no longer a two-way item and we can't protect it. That's what we were concerned about.
That's not true.
I know it's not true, but it's an easy spin, and they'll get 90% of the people to buy it because if they're not if they're not on the NFA, Washington's going to try to ban them. Someone's writing that bill right now.
They'll try. But
there was a comment in your video yesterday about Texas. Apparently, the Fifth Circuit has banned them because they're not arms.
No, they said that they're not arms and that bans on them could stand. But bans on them can stand under the NFA too. Some states already have them banned.
Right.
That wouldn't change. There are some states where you cannot get suppressors because that state has banned them. But the reason more states haven't banned them is because those laws don't hold up under court scrutiny, usually in most circuits, because whenever the government bans a private industry product, they have to show that that product is demonstrably unsafe, that it's going to cause damage to people, that it is a risk. When it's something like a firearm, when it's an arm, they can link it in with arms. When it's not an arm, like it was hard to outlaw lawn darts, even though kids were dying from them, because they had to actually rack up the evidence to show they were a clear harm. And the reason these laws exist so that you can't just ban something because you don't like it is so that, a governor can't say, oh, well, this company here is making a product similar to my brother-in-law's company. I'm banning their product. I'm going to work to ban their product. There's safeguards in place to do for that. But because it is on the NFA, it is listed as an arm. That gives the government more leeway to have more carte blanche to actually ban it without actually having to prove it's dangerous. So it's actually the opposite of what they're trying to say. Anybody else talking?
I don't really doubt that they would do this, but I think it might be shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. Instead of selling a handful of them at $500 to $800 range, wouldn't it be better to sell 20 or 30 of them at $100, $150? Because they're not expensive to make, most of them. I mean, there's the titanium ones that are a little more difficult, but all in all, it's not difficult to make them. The people that want them, like I've wanted one forever, but I've never done it because I don't want to have to deal with all the bullshit to get the stamp and everything. So it just seems like they're hurting themselves.
Well, from a business standpoint, actually, it's not. If you've got an item and you're in a game where you're the only manufacturer of that item and you've got a copyright on it to where no one else can make it, it's very hard to get. You can charge what you want for it because people really want it. However, if your copyright wears out and more people can make it, well, then now you got more competition. And you might say, well, then just make far more of them. You're still the leading producer of them. People know your brand. You'll still sell way more, make more money. But why do I want to pay 50 people to make 100 products and sell them for $100 each when I could pay 5 people to make 10 products and sell them for $1,000 each? And not only am I making the same amount of money, profit off the item itself, but my payroll is lower. My compensation for other things is lower. My taxes are lower. My materials costs are way lower. It's just everything else is lower too. You can't say it's the same. Selling 100 things for $100 each is the same as selling 10 for $1,000 in the end because it's the same profit. No, it isn't. It's the same profit just on the item, but you had to pay 10 times as many people to make it. You had to pay 10 times as many hours. You had to pay benefits for 10 times as many people. So you can't sustain, and you got to remember, they're raking in millions right now because they're part of a small little group making these at exorbitant prices. They're living high on the hog. Whereas if they were just competing in a regular business, they're not going to be millionaires off of them. This is a thing you'll do okay with as a small company. But if you want to make a lot, you're going to have to grow really big. And it's not going to really work because you're going to have competition. The market's only going to sustain so much. You're not going to be able to become gigantic when there's 10 other companies doing the same thing. And it's not like a Walmart situation where you're going to sell them super cheap to run other people out of business because they can sell them super cheap too.
Well, but there's the other part of their business, which isn't the actual product. It's the hi, let me go to your friendly little kiosk and take the picture and enter some info, and we'll electronically file your fingerprints and your picture and all the paperwork for you with the ATF. Mm-hmm. That's the part where I see them making the biggest profit margin for the least amount of work. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. You're getting your charge for it.
Yeah, I didn't know they charged.
That was a credit card company that sells the little card strikers. Like basically, it's the same thing. But I did make the argument that you were talking about there, Yankee, about scaling up a business. Silencer Shop is on record as 50 employees or less. Mm-hmm. Silencer Central is 50 to 200 employees.
Yep.
So these are small businesses. They are reaping benefits of the incentives that you get for small businesses.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they're getting all their tax incentives, their government incentives, all this stuff as a small business on top of making millions of dollars of profit.
Right.
And also, they're probably using that. Oh, I've got less than 100 employees, so I don't got to pay them this amount of overtime. I don't got to pay this amount of benefits because I've got so few employees. Once you get to a certain number of employees, you've got to start meeting higher standards for what you pay your employees and what benefits you give your employees and how many hours you give your employees. So it is just completely beneficial for them to not have more employees, to not have to make more product. And the whole thing of reducing it to zero, well, that's still, you're still going through the whole process. I don't know of anyone that says, you're buying $1,000 suppressor that you really wanted. I don't know hardly anyone that's ever said, well, I'm not buying it because I ain't paying that extra $200. No, you're already paying $1,000 for a $150 item. You're willing to spend the money. They just don't want to go through the paperwork. And the paperwork wouldn't have changed, and that would have still given the government full control over all of that stuff. You would have had to got approved for them. That would have kept the business very exclusive. It would have kept you wanting to go to companies like them that make that process easy for you. Although I don't know why people would go to a kiosk. I just go to my local dealer and I buy it and they handle all that. Like I bought 3 suppressors from my local dealer. They took care of all that stuff for me. So all I did was write a check for the fee. So yeah, it's very clear. It was Silencer Shop that got it pulled from the bill. It was Silencer Shop to spend all that money to do it. It's Silencer Shop that I would never buy a product from ever again. And no, it isn't because they're afraid it'll get banned. It's because they don't want them to be legally sold everywhere by anybody. Let's see here. Let me go over see if we got any topics coming in. I just wanted to cover that first before we got into anything. Does anybody here got any topics they want to cover before I go to questions?
I added one to the chat thing, but let's see if there's anything else first, because it's kind of local to Washington, but I can see it happening in other places.
All righty. We got a comment here from John Heasley. It says, for an entry in the super secret stock giveaway, I want a full auto for just in case reason. That's not a question. I mean, he's just making a comment, getting an entry into the thing. Dale Rickety got an entry into the double super secret stock giveaway and said, all hail Phil, still here. I just want to read through these real quick, see if there's any questions in them. Tim Fat Salami got him a couple entries into the drawing and said, real money for the fictional deal. Oh, he's pushing it. He's going to get Lyme disease. It's like he wants Lyme disease. And if you've met him, you know he can't afford to have Lyme disease. He's got enough strikes against him.
He should get lupus.
Huh?
Said he should get lupus.
Yeah, lupus. Yep. I had a friend who has lupus. Hail Phil, do you believe gang violence would worsen if full auto were more available? Law-abiding citizens suffer for the criminals' actions. No. Why would gang violence go up? I don't even understand the whole why anybody would even want to link those two things together. It's not like most people on the street are out there buying, street gangs aren't out there buying fully automatic rifles or AR-15s even, hardly. And as far as like cartels and stuff, they already have full auto. They have whatever they want. They can get it wherever they want. They can manufacture. They're not worried about breaking the laws on full autos. So organized crime has all the full autos they want. They're not practical for organized crime either, any more so than they are for self-defense or regular military tactics. They're just not practical for anything. Who wants to go, create that much collateral damage to take out 1 or 2 people, spend that much money on ammo, and leave that much evidence behind? Just doesn't make sense.
And it's not hard to convert a semi-auto if you wanted to. I mean, I may or may not have done some stupid things involving a sheet metal screw and an old Kel-Tec when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. We made guns go full auto when we were kids. We thought it was funny. Let's see here. What was the next one? But yeah, I don't see any link to organized crime. They're no more practical for organized crime than they are for you to have for self-defense. They're just not, they're not that, there's no point in them. Let's see here. Paul Bidenbach chimed in here and said, does anybody disagree that they're good for organized crime or that they would use them? Maybe an intimidation factor or something?
I think, there is some intimidation with it. You're going to have maybe some of the smaller gangs who are thinking that it'll make them look tougher or bigger. but anybody who's organized and actually, running organized crime is organized, they're not going to use those unless there's an all-out war somewhere, at least not in the U.S.
Yeah, it's just not practical. And if a small gang like that did decide to use one, who they're going to use it on? Another gang. And I'm not all that.
I mean, largely it's hoodlums with switches doing drive-bys. It's not they don't use them for actually trying to hit something. They're dumping and running.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
and
it would be useful. Like you said, it'd be. Oh.
Sorry. No, there was a question here the other day in Georgia. I think it was the FBI made a bust in northwest or northeast Atlanta for what they said was cartel members, and they had a table full of ARs, AKs, and then there were 6 M249s. From my opinion on looking at them, they were the civilian semi-auto versions that you can buy.
Yeah.
The question that I was talking about with people in the comment section on that video was, why would they buy those? And the only thing I can come up with is the intimidation factor.
I mean, they're legal. The cartel uses them a lot in Mexico. They actually get in open gunfights with the federales pretty often. There was an old video several years ago of an up-armored Humvee with a 249 on it or it might have been a 240 Bravo going after an up-armored cartel SUV that was firing back at them. That whole place just sucks. I couldn't go to Mexico these days.
I have a friend who lives there. Her family lives there, and she went back to visit again not too long ago. And she was like, they can't leave the walls of their house after dark. Once the sun starts going down, everybody makes sure they're home, and you don't go out at night, and you don't go to certain parts of town anymore. She's like, she just can't go back and visit family anymore. She's going to have them come up here if they want to visit.
Yeah, and I would be interested to know. I mean, I don't know much about those types of guns, but my gut feel is maybe the Mexican army or a few other places use those. It wouldn't be the first time somebody stole some military hardware and sold it black market to these types of places. Or
and the government sells it to them too.
Oh yeah,
their whole government's so corrupt that they don't have to steal it; they just take it.
Yeah, and the government makes it okay for them to take them. You got to remember, most of the Mexican government was fine with the cartels that was bringing in, lots of money into the country and all this other stuff. And they were getting their cut of it. They were more than happy with it. It was when the violence started pouring over into civilian populations, which started holding the politicians accountable and actually going to their homes and attacking them. That's the only time they ever started actually caring about it. And they only pretend to care. They still facilitate the cartels hand and foot. They cater to them. And here's the thing, all this, they're always getting in gunfights with the federales down there. Well, why don't the federales get some fucking bazookas, and when they start getting into running gun battles with armored SUVs, blow the fuckers up? They could afford to do it. They could have the tools to do it. They just don't, because they don't want to kill the cartels. They just don't want to be held accountable for the cartels. Let's see here. Where were we at? Looks like the panic buying in Washington state has started. Why are people so panic prone? What's happened in Washington? What am I missing? Panic buying.
Yeah, so went to the range today, and I go there at least once, if not twice a week. Have a general feel for how much stuff's on the wall and in the cases. Cases were half empty, half the stuff off the wall. They just did so many sales from Thursday through now.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I can come up with is, remember, Inslee Jr. Ferguson signed that 1167 on Thursday.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm not even going to mention the lawyer from Washington whose channel is there, because, my advice would be to start buying anything you want, buy it now, because in 2 years from now, there is a requirement.
He's just a shill.
And the shame is he did put out some good content. He
did. And then he started getting money, and he started getting contacted by local gun organizations and everything else. And he started towing the line and spreading their message, and now he does it just for the money and the attention. I was talking to some people that are very much involved in the public fight here in the state of Washington, and one of them mentioned his name and said something about trying to get him involved. And every other person that was there that is actually involved in the fight said, good luck unless you're willing to pay him, because he's all about the spotlight and the money now. And he will lie and fearmonger. He said, luckily you can get him to say whatever you want him to say if you got the money, but he's all about the spotlight and the money. Remember, he said, oh, I'll come on your chat. Yeah. Wouldn't once, because I challenged him on his opinions, and something he said, he won't come on for nothing. Oh, look who's here. It's Peter DeBoner.
What's up?
How's the Lyme disease?
Well, it's fine.
Okay.
It's not real Lyme disease, so it's good.
Okay, well, we figured,
So
you
are
made
you
it in,
actually
but-
turning British? Is that what's happening?
Peter D is turning British?
Limey disease, right?
Not limey disease, Lyme disease.
I was
Nobody-
luckily spared.
Even Phil wouldn't give anybody limey disease. We got someone else just wanted to come in too. Coffee Black. Hello.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh,
Are you bringing
sweet.
a topic with you, or are you just joining the chat?
Oh, I was just joining the chat. I've been a long time listener. This is the first time I've ever been a part of anything.
Did his smoke detector just beep?
No.
It
Okay.
sounds like it.
It sounded like his smoke detector just beeped. I
Yeah,
was like, we
that's
just
what that means.
officially went ghetto in our chat here. If that happened. All right, let me get back over here to the questions, see if anything's coming in. But yeah, I'm not panicked by anything in the state of Washington. I'm not panicked about the law. Hopefully it'll get overturned before it even goes into effect. Doesn't go into effect till 2027. So recommendations for laser note sight system to practice with. What's a laser note sight system? Does anybody know?
I mean, there's a couple of different brands that make the lasers that you can track with your phone now
Uh-huh.
for dry fire practice, basically. I assume that's what he's talking about.
Now I've got the one that's got the little targets and it's got its own little laser guns, but then I also have a laser bullet that I can put in my regular gun. It's either a 40 or a 9mm that I can put in my gun and shoot at those targets. I don't. Those systems that actually keep track on your phone and stuff, that's way above my desire to learn how to use. So mainly what I do is I just use those little laser bullets you get, put it in my gun, and I shoot at things like stuff on the wall and light switches and other things in the house just randomly while I'm watching TV. But I do have the little laser targets too that keep track and will show you like how many hits you made and everything. But I usually just shoot at stuff on the mantle and stuff.
Yeah.
How accurate do you find that laser training aid? I've looked at them and considered them, but I always figured it was more of a toy than a practical tool.
Like the one that has the guns itself has the little fake guns, or the ones that the little laser bullet?
The little laser bullet.
That little laser bullet's right on. Like if I get my sights, like if I was shooting it, I got a Rick and Morty poster in the other room in there across the room. If I was aiming ball and I got my sights right on it and I click, that laser dot is right on his eyeball. It's perfectly aligned with my gun. So it's very accurate. And it's really good because if you got your sights permanently aligned and then you see the dot jump as you're pulling your trigger, you're not keeping it steady. That's why I've got my son right now in the house. He's got my CZ75 because he's thinking about the CZ 75 compact for his carry gun, or actually he also wants maybe the P07 or P09, the Nocturne. But I've got him in there practicing with my CZ because it's similar trigger with that laser bullet, shooting at stuff, trying to maintain his trigger control and his aim there. But I found it to be very accurate, I guess would be the word. Does anybody else use any of them?
The only thing that I've ever heard about them, some of the cheaper versions of the laser bullets, you need to put them in your gun and try them out, and then go back and rotate them because the lasers aren't always exactly dead center.
Oh, the one I got, I don't know. I
It
can't
would get
talk
you
about
on
yours.
paper.
The one I got is very good. I mean, I can't complain about it. I don't remember who made it though. I think I got it off Amazon. I could go look at my Amazon here and see if I can actually find which one it is I've got, because I bought it from Amazon. I'm pretty sure. So let's see. Orders, search all orders.
I know years ago I just had like a regular, attach it to the end of the gun laser, which to me showed the same thing, right? You trigger pull, you're jerking, you're this or that. I find it's a good tool to teach someone about muzzle control, and so you're not flagging everything. And the added benefit was it kept the cats amused.
Yeah,
Pointed at the wall of the counter, and the cats were entertained for the whole time I was practicing.
My son bought a cat laser, one of those ones the other day for playing with them, and it is so fucking bright. You can actually see the beam going from the thing to the dot, and I'm like, that's too bright. That you're going to blind the cats. We got to get something else. It's Sure Strike. SureStrike, SureStrike. I got it from Amazon. It says it's currently unavailable though, but it works just fine, and you can buy the little targets and stuff to go with it. But there's all kinds of stuff on Amazon, and it comes with. I had to order a little ring to make it a 40 caliber because it's 9mm by default, and then you can buy different rings and make it 40 caliber, 45, other stuff. But it's very accurate in a 9mm. I can tell you that.
Have you tried your 40 and your 10mm to see if it'll keep going, or if it cams a little bit on the extractor?
It hasn't at all. And plus, they sit pretty flush in the chamber. The extractor doesn't even come anywhere near them. So when you go to get them out, you really got to push something in from the other end to pop them out. You can't like grab them and pull them out. And when you put that adapter on them, that adapter fills the whole chamber, and it's part of the actual casing of the laser still too. You just change the back part of the laser. But it was very accurate in my 40 too, because I used to shoot it in my 96 Beretta all the time.
It does sound like a good idea, but I've never used them. But especially for like recognizing trigger jerking and stuff, it does sound like a good idea. That's always been one of my issues, is jerking the trigger.
And what I like about it is, what I do a lot is you can get it on target, like choose something very small across the room, like one of the heads on one of the action figures hanging on the wall. And you can just not even use your sights, just kind of like point shoot and get it on target with the first couple of shots, by seeing where it's hitting, and then practice rapid fire trigger pull and watch make sure you hit the head every time. And then you're holding your gun steady. So it really does help with trigger control, with maintaining, not anticipating recoil. Because that's my son's problem right now. He's anticipating the recoil. And I'm trying to break him of that. So
that's my problem too.
So first I'm making him pull the trigger a billion times to get used to it with no bang, so that he's like, okay, I don't have anything to. Then we'll take him to back down to the range again in a day or two, and we'll try again with the other guns. I mean, he was doing all right. I've got video, and you can see he's hitting his target. You hear the ka-ping, ka-ping, ka-ping. But as someone who shoots, watching him, I can see that he's anticipating that recoil a little bit. And one time the slide didn't lock back because he was pushing down on the slide lock, and you can see him jerk the gun a little bit when he pulls the trigger with no round. So got to break him of that.
Wait, it actually cycles the slide and everything? I thought it was just working.
No, he was actually shooting.
Oh, I was like, that's cool as hell.
No, I wish it did that, but no, he was actually down trying out some of the guns he's thinking of him wanting. And I noticed when I was teaching him thumbs forward, to do the thumbs forward properly, he was putting his thumb on the slide release on the Beretta, and it wasn't locking back on the last round because he's pushing down on the slide release. And when it didn't lock back on the last round, but it was empty, he went to pull the trigger again in double action, and I saw him jerk when he did it. So he was anticipating that recoil and jerking that trigger. Let's see here. PayPal doesn't work when you open your gun shop. What are you going to name it? Are you going to name it after one of your most respected viewers? I ain't never opening no gun shop. I don't want to go broke. They always say the best way to become a millionaire is open a gun shop as a billionaire. because they will run you dry.
I have a hard time believing that your youngest son is old enough to purchase a gun now. Anyway, wasn't he just like 7?
He seemed he was just 5, as far as I know, and now he's turned 21 in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, time flies.
I still remember his YouTube debut as the snitch in one of your videos.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that. Also, I've got that video of where he said he was going to open a YouTube channel, and he got his older brother's old phone, and he went out and had his little buddy neighbor film him shooting his cat gun out front, and he wanted to upload it to YouTube, and he did. He uploaded it to YouTube, and then I found out and had to get it deleted and taken down and close his account because I'm like, you're 5 years old, you're not opening a YouTube account. So, although I should have let him open video game accounts back when they were younger. They'd probably be millionaires now. Because my oldest son is apparently really good at video games. He wins like tournaments and stuff like that. And he gets called to like come over to Beaverton and try out new video games because, he won these competitions with other video games. So they're like, we'd like to get your input on this game we're developing. And he'll go over and they'll give him like $200 to play a game for an hour. Yeah. So I'm like, we should have had him start a YouTube channel on it.
He's still got an opportunity. They pay those guys fucking an insane amount of money.
Yeah, and they make most of their money from sponsorship and the companies. Like it's like that. What's his name? What's that guy? Dan something. That's like I'm a gambler and I'm super rich and I live this fancy lifestyle, shooting guns and driving tanks. And what's his name? He's very popular in the gun community, but I forget what his name is. But he's like, I make my money gambling, and I'm a gambler. He ain't never made a dime gambling. He makes his money. All his money is the casinos pay him and give him toys to make him look like he's living this big fancy lifestyle so that people will be enticed to think, if I become a professional gambler going to the casinos in Las Vegas, I can make millions. It's just a scheme to get people there and lose their money.
I mean, it's not too late for your son to open a YouTube account as long as he's comfortable acting completely bombastic. It seems that kids really like that for some reason.
And unfortunately, my older son, who is the one that's got all the talent, is not like that. He's Samoan, and he's very calm. He's got that Islander blood in him, and he looks Islander, and he acts it. It's very much in his mannerisms and everything. He's quiet, calm, never starts any trouble, but he can finish trouble really easy. But is
he a member of the bloodline?
Huh?
I said, is he a member of the bloodline?
No, he's not a member of the bloodline, but he looks like he could be. He'd fit right in with them. But he's the quiet one, the calm one, the easygoing one, jovial one, and he can kick your ass. My younger son, Caden, is the loud one, the sassy one, the mouthy one, and he is not tough at all. So they got the wrong attitudes. Zyler should have his attitude, and he should have Zyler's. But it just goes to show you. Of course, that wouldn't be good if Zyler. You don't want someone who could actually back it up having an aggressive attitude. You just end up with a jerk. Let's see here. Clinton Barella chimed in and said, recommendation. Oh, I just read that, didn't I? I've lost my place over here. But the one I had was the Sure. What did I say? Sure something? Sure Strike. Sure Strike is the one I had. I see a lot of videos where guys complain about the quality control from revolver manufacturers, Smith being one. Is it worth the day? Or what revolver manufacturers let through in the past? Not really, no. I mean, I'll speak my opinion on this. Are guns made worse today? No, they're made better. It's just people are a lot pickier now, and people don't remember back in the day. Most people didn't care if their barrel was slightly canted; they would never notice. And plus, it was easier back then to straighten them because they used pin barrels. But you had to shoot a gun 1,000 times before it worked properly because they didn't fit them very well. And nowadays, that's not even a thing anymore. Guns are made better now than ever. It's just people are just bitchy. And you hear every time there's something wrong with a gun. Used to be if there was something wrong with the gun, their buddies might have heard about it but it usually was just between them and the gun manufacturer. Now, every time someone has a problem with a gun, they figure they can get some views on YouTube off of it. And then 50 other people who repeat it think they can get some YouTube views off of it. And then 100 other people who want to be part of the group will make videos on it. And if you had one bad gun and the impression that there's 10,000 bad guns out there.
It's just like cars, dude. Cars are fucking way better today than they were in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. It's like my uncle the other day. He posted a picture of an old Chevelle. He said, they don't build them like they used to. I was like, what? You mean 6,000 pounds with 230 horsepower?
Yeah, exactly. And break down every fucking couple thousand miles.
Yeah. That you had to every weekend. I remember as a kid, every weekend, it would be everybody getting together with their cars to fix the things that had come loose and work their way out of place during the week. You spent the weekend changing your oil and fixing all the broken stuff.
Honestly, in the whole time I've been buying guns, I've only bought one poorly manufactured gun, and that was a High Point.
Well, those are, they're kind of like, that's going to be most of them. Did we lose something?
I mean, every Taurus I've ever bought worked well. I've shot a few Kel-Tecs that worked well, but that freaking High Point, man, I bought it and I put 5 bullets for it and took it to 5 bullets through it and then took it to the pawn shop because there was just no way. If somebody tried to run up on me and I had that thing, I'd be better off trying to beat them with it because it's so big and heavy.
Yeah, they're not what I would consider a good concealed carry gun. And it's like I always say it's like a Glock fucked an Electrolux vacuum cleaner, and you end up with
I barely consider them guns, period.
I mean, the one I've had always worked, and it still does, as far as I know. It's still back home, but there's nothing you'd be proud about having or anything like that. They are basically, I need something that will fire a bullet, and I need it immediately, and I only got $120. That's the only time that they're really practical or applicable. But yeah, I think people are just whiny bitches and they know about every little thing. It's like the same kind of phenomenon where people think, oh, we live in such dangerous times. And I'm like, no, you don't. You live in the safest times ever. The 80s were way more dangerous than now. The 60s were more dangerous than now. The 90s were more dangerous than now by far. That was one of the more dangerous periods, the 90s. You just hear about every little single thing that ever happens. Used to be if someone got raped in one town over, you didn't hear about it. If someone got murdered in the state, the next state over, you didn't hear about it. Now, every time someone stubs their toe in California, you see a video about it. And that's not the way it used to be. Kidnappings, there was way more chance of you getting kidnapped when I was a kid, and our parents sent us out on our own all day long.
And we're always surprised we came back.
Yeah. So, and I know, and I will say some didn't, but, and I can understand where people nowadays, like when they say, well, I never wore a seatbelt and I lived fine. I'm like, well, yeah, but some didn't. And I can understand why parents would want to make sure their child survives. So I would okay with seatbelts and stuff. But it's like when people use that argument, I never wore a seatbelt and I lived. And I'm like, well, yeah, I've crossed roads without looking before too, but I don't think it'd be smart to make a habit out of it. And I survived, but that doesn't mean it's safe. But yeah, it's awareness now. People are it used to be there was twice as much crime, but a tenth as much awareness. Now there's half as much crime, but 5,000 times as much awareness.
I mean, to be fair, there are certain brands that I refuse to buy anymore because of how horrible their quality control is. Remington, for example.
Well, yeah.
When I got back from Iraq, I had an 887 Nitro mag. Wasn't thinking. Got done doing some work on it, adding an extended tube. Loaded it up with slugs, underhand racked it, and blew a perfect half moon out of the side of my fucking foot. Everybody at the VA was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense when I told them what happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, no one is saying that bad guns don't exist because they do. And when sloppy companies get sloppy, they can make bad guns. But on general, most guns are better than they ever were. It's just that, sometimes some companies just go on a big slide. There are guns, Remington rifles, that had problems with going off if they fell over. There are some bad designs, some bad guns, but generally nowadays it's less than ever, and it's the perception of it is magnified 10 times because of the internet.
Well, I did have a Seg one time. It was messed up because it would only fire when you pulled the trigger.
Yeah, that's mine's broken too. But it's like, and I had a revolver one time I bought that the second round I fired, it shot the barrel down the range. But difference was back then I went, oh, there's that beep again. I think his fucking fire alarm his smoke alarm is beeping.
That was actually an elevator.
An elevator.
I was in an elevator.
Why are you in an elevator?
Because the place I live has an elevator.
Oh.
Oh,
Halfway house, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. But as I'm saying, yeah, it's mostly perception. But yeah, you do have to be careful for bad guns. And I wouldn't buy a Kel-Tec. They're crap. Doesn't mean that means all guns are bad. Just means Kel-Tecs are crap. And you can get a good Kel-Tec even. I know people have had Kel-Tecs. They fired them 5-6 times and they ain't exploded yet. So
I've got a sub 2000 that's pretty sweet. I don't shoot it very often, but I mean,
that's just a pipe with a trigger on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has tried to explode on me, but it's cool though.
I think that's all the questions answered. Has anybody got anything they want to say before we end up here? Because we've gone over.
Gobbledygook.
Did you see Kel-Tec is threatening to release a new 10 millimeter? What is it? The sub 2000?
Oh, I'd say I'm fine with that if they want to make one. I'm okay with there being shitty guns out there. Just don't pretend they're not shitty. It's kind of like the same thing with appendix carry. People are like, why do you care if people appendix carry? I don't. I've made that point a million times. I don't care if you appendix carry, but I want you to be aware of the risks of it and how it isn't better. It doesn't make you a better shot. It doesn't give you a faster draw, and it is more dangerous than carrying regularly. As long as you understand the facts of it, if you think you like it just because it's cool, fucking carry. I don't care if you blow your dick off. It's no skin off my dick if you do that. But I don't like people being lied to and convinced that something is safe when it isn't. But same thing with Kel-Tec. If you want to buy it, buy it.
Listen to this real quick. I was shooting my sub 2000 not too long ago down back behind my house. It's a 40, and I was shooting, going along, bang, 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 and then no bang. And I was trying to diagnose what the problem was, and then I look in the chamber, and what had happened is half of the casing had blown out, and half of the casing was still stuck in there. So it is literally a pipe bomb with a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the gun's problem or the ammo? I mean, from what I do, I'm seeing more issues with ammo. I mean, I had a squib today where shitting it through my CZ, had the shot, something didn't feel right, slide didn't come all the way back. Literally, the shell, the casing just had to explode or do something. The bullet, the projectile was literally maybe a couple millimeters down the barrel from where it would have been from being chambered. It's a decent ammo manufacturer, but I'm having more trouble with ammo now than I'm having with anything.
And if you want to be right, if you want to have like a 90% accuracy rate on your diagnosing bad semi-automatic firearms, when someone says, my gun is doing this, you don't even have to listen to what it's doing. If they've got a semi-automatic pistol and it's malfunctioning and you want to have a 90% accuracy rate on diagnosis without even hearing what it's doing, just say it's either the ammo or the magazine. And that's going to be 90% of the time. That's going to be the problem. So it really is usually the ammo or a magazine. That's not uncommon. But I think the point you're making is that you're having more problems with ammo these days than you used to. And with that, there's a lot more people making ammo now, a lot more companies making ammo, and they're cranking it out faster than ever. So I don't know if all of them are quite up to snuff on everything they do.
Yeah, there's some consolidation in the ammo manufacturers, which I think contributes to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I went to buy some the other day, and I always read everything carefully because the price looked really good, and when you look at it, it was Was that a gun going off?
I hope not. It sounded more like a trash can getting kicked.
Yeah, that was. But they were trying to sell reloads.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and it wasn't like it was substantially less than a normal than a new manufacturer, but there's a lot of issues with that right now, which is concerning.
Well, it's like Minuteman Ammo, the company I buy all my ammo from nowadays that is local. They sell all full new manufactured ammo. Everything is new casings, new bullets, new powder, new primers. But there was a company, Minuteman, that sold all reloads. Does anybody remember Minuteman Munitions?
I remember them. Yeah.
I don't know if they're still around or not, but they sent me some at one time, and they were selling all reloads. And now a lot of people think that Minuteman ammo is the same as Minuteman munitions. And I have to tell people all the time, no. Everything from Minuteman ammo is all brand new products, same bullets that like Corbon uses, same bullets that Hornady uses. Just they load them themselves with their own loadings and stuff. All new stuff. It was Minuteman munitions that were all reloads. And I don't know.
Awesome.
Huh?
Minuteman ammo is awesome.
Yeah,
I've done lots of your recommendation. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Minuteman munitions, I don't know. I don't even know if they're still around. But I know they were putting a lot of effort into getting a lot of lip service on YouTube there for a while. And that always makes me nervous. Whenever I see every channel talking about a product, it makes me think, is it really because it's a good product, or is it because they got paid $300 to do the video?
And it all happens at the same time. It's always within the same 3-day period.
Yep. All right. That's going to do it for us today. We went really long. I want to say I appreciate everybody showing up here today and participating. Like I said, we're still relatively new to doing this. We'll eventually start yelling at each other and stuff. But right now we're all a little quiet. But thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate it. Everybody say goodbye and wave. Well, there's only just me and the boner got our cameras on.
Penis Scott.
So goodbye and wave, and I'll see everybody later. Remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.
See you guys.
See you, everyone. Thank you.